Hello, everyone. How are you? My name is Keith. This, of course, is the Startup Sales Mastery video podcast. Welcome, and it is hot where I am. I don't know where you are, but I'm having a blast. I am in great form. Today is campaign week, the start of campaign week anyway. I'm going to go through with all you fantastic startup entrepreneurs the different types of campaigns that we have. As I mentioned, Startup Sales Mastery. My name is Keith. Co-founder Club is our community of founders. We all come together to take over the world, and the Startup Sales Mastery program is basically my way of sharing with all you entrepreneurs. This is what us salespeople know how to do. Go do it or come hire me. I'll talk about more about that later. For now, let's get on with it. I was looking up something online as I was starting this podcast. I actually made a video on some of this. So I'm just going to post the word example with dots and control V, and there you go, blast on. If anybody wants to see that, it's an example of what I'm going to go through on the machine side of things. So basically campaigns. Now, again, if anybody knows who I am, I outright refuse to work with not just entrepreneurs, companies, any of this, unless we go through a procedure first. The procedure, of course, is hang on, who is your customer? What is their problem? What is their journey? How do they think? What's their buying habits? How do they make decisions? What's your market like? What's your solution like? What's your unique selling points? What's your competition like? I go through all of these points with the person, because without this information, I am unable to actually run an effective campaign. If I send the wrong message out there to the wrong person, it doesn't matter how good a salesman I am, I'm going to get sweet FA. And as a business owner, you're going to look at a guy like me after hiring me saying, hey, you were a load of shit. What the hell's going on here? So it's important for me to actually set the right expectations for you and actually guide you. It would be a bit like you going to, a builder with architect plans that you designed yourself and saying, here, I want you to build this. Of course, the builder should have the common sense to look at it and go, now hang on a second, this doesn't look like it's structurally integrity, whatever the word is, and should put a stop to you right there and then. It is the exact same thing for me. I am a professional salesperson. I know the procedure inside and out. I know what works. I know what doesn't. And if you want to know as an entrepreneur or a founder why guys like me will often look at guys like you and say, whoa, stop, you're going after the wrong thing. This is the wrong message, the wrong blah, blah, blah. This is why, because we know what will sell, not necessarily what you envision for your sales to be. And that's why it's so important that we do all this before we go anywhere near the campaigns. Now, there are two types of campaigns. Basically, if we're really going to break this down, there is inbound campaigns and there's outbound campaigns. And as I put in the notes, this is effectively marketing versus sales. In order to get customers, which is actually the point of this whole thing, we need both components. We need marketing, which is, getting the message out there to your potential prospects, and then sales, which is ultimately the persuasion side of things to buy your product. These are the two different kinds of for anything, even if it's one click on the page, that's still a sales button. That's your call to action. That's an element of sales. So regardless of anything, we need those two components. And inbound is what it sounds like. It's traffic coming in. So we're talking about marketing. What are the different ways that we can get traffic coming in? Well, traditionally, and again, this is where that video I just posted comes into play, we make a landing page, and whether it's social media like Facebook or using emails or whatever it is, we drive as much traffic as we can to this landing page. That's the marketing. Then the landing page is designed to act as the sales end of things. That's why it's also known as a sales page in many circles. We want to capture that email, and that goes into an autoresponder. Very often, this is actually what we call a lead magnet, where we give something for free in exchange for that email and then push them off to the sales page and onwards with the channel. Very often when we collect the email, we'll also collect the phone number and more information. This can be done at the landing or the sales page. I mean, CRM SaaS applications, of course, is the big one where we're capturing that information. Book a demo, book a free call, and then your business development guys will give those prospects a phone call immediately, qualify or disqualify. If it's a big or growing tech company, normally they're like a safety net, and they'll make sure that only the right qualified prospects get through. Then book a meeting for the sales guys, or the AEs, as they're known, and account executives. And then it's their job to just close. No more information. Let's close this thing up. That is basically the inbound mechanism. I mean, there's not much more. There's you could do WhatsApps or text messages, or purchasing email lists. There's so many different things, but ultimately inbound is where leads, traffic, prospects, where your customers are coming to you. Okay, if you get a stall in a yeah, that's probably still outbound. It's anything where people are coming to you. I was going to say about conferences, but technically that's sort of 50-50. So I'm not going to go there because people will complain. See, even I sometimes have to correct myself. Nobody's perfect. Outbound. Okay, outbound. This is what sales, like true sales guys, as far as I'm concerned. And every single entrepreneur out there, every early stage founder, you guys are going to have to be a, true salesman if you want to succeed, or get in touch with me. But especially at the early stages, this is where you go out and you go find those prospects. You go hunting. Go get them. So knocking on doors, picking up the phone and cold calling people, turning up to conferences. Now we're getting turning up to conferences. The reason why it's sort of half and half, if you get a booth, okay, technically that's inbound. That's not outbound, because the traffic is coming over to you when you have a booth. Now people will say, ooh, but you're still going out. That's why I'm not officially going to put it. But if you turn up to a conference with like a branded t-shirt and you're walking around shaking people's hands, now that's definitely outbound. Back in the early days, one of my first sales things as a very young salesman was knocking on doors residentially. I was selling broadband back in the day, where broadband was like a brand new invention. And then electricity. I come from Ireland. Ireland went through deregulation. So all of a sudden it was a free for all at every single residential. And both of those products, broadband and internet, I started residential, literally turning up to housing estates and apartment blocks, and then moved over to the bigger fish, the corporate shopping malls, big apartment complexes, but actually getting in their buildings with, 1,000 offices. This is sort of where I moved to a long time ago. That's outbound. Outbound is going out any way you have to. Outbound is the most effective. It's also, by all accounts, the most difficult. Inbound is the most, it's more expensive. I don't know if the right word is clean. Shall we say soft? It is the softer approach. The reason being is because if the marketing people do what they're supposed to do, they're effectively fishing. And the leads that come in should be people who meet a certain criteria. In other words, they should be your customer persona. They should have a very specific type of pain that they want solved, which of course is the problem. And they should be coming here with that call to action saying, if you need this problem solved, click here. Boom, they click. And then as a salesperson, when I used to do SDR, because I've done it before, business development, sales development representative, I pick up, hi, Mr. Prospect, I see you clicked on our link. How can I help you today? Yeah, I was just wondering more information. I understand. And what exactly information is it you're looking for? Don't pitch, ask questions. That's basically what SDR does. You're like a detective. They're the two types of campaigns. I don't know if I'm going to ramble on or not. Let me have a quick look. I think during the week I have a scheduled to go through a lot of things. Again, I say to everyone, just ask me questions and I will change this the way you guys want it changed. I'm getting a lot of people PMing me and hitting me privately. So I have no problem. If you want to hook up a chat, we can go through stuff. As always, www.startupsalesmastery.com. salespeople.com. In there, you will see exactly my step-by-step guide of how to create the perfect sales campaign. Then either go sell it yourself or go hire a sales guy to do it, but you won't have to have the few hours of coffees and chats and all this silly training that takes hours. That's why I created it. I did not create it as to be another educational thing to get out there. It's actually a step-by-step manual that I expect you to use. Use step 1, 2, 3, and then actually use it to make money. That's the point here, as opposed to going through the trial and error learning. Okay, so tomorrow we're having a look at inbound in detail, followed by a look at outbound in detail. I will be boarding stuff up because I'll have to go through all this. Do my own campaigns versus working with professionals, as I'm mentioning to you guys right now. Obviously, at the very beginning, you're going to have to do it yourself. The reason being is because you need to understand what your customers' feedback is. What are your customers telling you? Are they happy or do they need things tweaked? I would not rely on salespeople for that. We can do it, but it's really not our job. Our job is to basically act as middlemen between product and desire, if you will. Pain and solution actually would be a better. Here's solution, here's pain. We're the guys in the middle that connect you up together. That's really what we do. We shouldn't have to figure out what these guys need. When I go for a sales job in any company, I'm not talking high tech, any sales job out there, in my initial first day training, they are telling me, okay, Keith, this is the problem these guys have. This is the solution that they tell us exactly what to do. They usually give us the overturns, which are the frequently mentioned objections that a prospect can give to us. Like, they will give us all of this. And I want to get this really, really across. I'll go on as long as I have to. This podcast can go on as long as it has to for this point to get across. Advertising, so the marketing people, is what gets customers. And there's a bit of a thing about that. Correct advertising, okay, gets customers. It's really, really important that I think you take a moment and realize that it's not about pumping a lot of money into your advertising or campaigns, whatever we want to call them, that you're actually having correct campaigns. You can go, I think I spoke to someone the other day and they were really surprised I was talking about creating an inbound campaign, because I'm an outbound kind of guy. But it's like, dude, you want to hit the corporate C-level guys. Hitting corporate C-level guys is like a completely different thing. Yes, you can cold call them if it's a simple product. Of course, this guy was not making a simple product. It was like some HR software. And then he said, no, you don't understand. It does this and it does this. And I'm like, Jesus, man, what departments need to be involved in this? If it's that kind of a thing, you really want to go inbound. Outbound can be done, but there's a time and a place. But the point about the campaigns that I'm mentioning is that they need to be effective. They need to be considered. There is a time you use inbound. There is a time you use outbound. When you're a little bit further along, if you are sure, you are 100% that you know what your customer, what their pain is and how to solve that pain. I think that's really the biggest thing. Only then are you in a position to actually swap and go, for scaling. Inbound, you scale. Outbound, you don't really scale. You can get 100 salespeople, but that's not really scaling. Most of those, gurus with their courses, they talk about making hundreds and hundreds of calls, and then all of a sudden, boom, they went the online and everything was different and they made more money. And yes, because of doing all those outbound calls, they got to learn exactly what their customer needed to hear. They got to learn exactly how they needed to hear it. Okay, then they just transferred that to the all-important sales page and shit went crazy. If you have a startup, a landing page or something, and it's not converting, as in you're putting ads out there and they're not converting absolute minimum 20%, but it really should be 40%, then your message is off. I'm sorry, but your message is off. The high level stats, people are talking about 60% conversions. This is where you really, really are hitting like the top of the top: pain, problem, solution. And that's what it's about. You got to look at your product and you got to say to yourself, okay, this is my product. These are my features. Wonderful. Now let's go over here. This is the benefit of having it to the person. This is even beyond what it solves. Again, this is why I created the Startup Sales Mastery program. The Startup Sales Lead Generation program I'll actually be launching this week. I mean, it's campaign week, so I figured why the hell not launch something to do with campaigns. Basically, I've got a couple of my buddies together and we're going to do advertisements for any companies out there. And here's the best part. We're going to do it at around 20% the cost of any other agency out there. And if the leads require sales, guys, I am going to do some sales for you on the house. And if you like what I do, then, book me next month. But for the beginning, I will give it on the house. That is the plan. I will probably put the link. Actually, you know what? I will put the link. I have to double check that my landing page and sales page are ready. I didn't make it. I don't know. But again, the procedure is the procedure. I'll be making a couple cold calls. I might just actually record them in 2 days for Outbound. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section below. And I think, again, last thing to mention, campaigns. The first thing that people normally go after, and they love doing inbound because they're softer and this and that. But trust me when I tell you, make sure you know about your customer. If you go to the Startup Sales Mastery, you can get the full course, but this part is so important that I actually give this part for free. So you can get this for free. It's a 30-minute video and it'll go through step by step exactly what I'm talking about and how it works. Campaigns, inbound, outbound. My name is Keith Harrison. This is Startup Sales Mastery video podcast where we professional salespeople show you entrepreneurs how we do what we do. We share everything. Good luck. Happy hunting. I look forward to seeing you all campaign week this week, where we're actually going to talk about the campaigns of getting customers. Take it easy. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.